Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and the security editions. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on multiple different platforms. If you would like to catch the show live, you can head on over to switchedtolinux.com/live. I always update this the morning that we are going to have a live show. It's going to have our title, my time, and then all of the live stream links down here as well. If you would like to help support the channel, we do have links over here as well as affiliates. And the other thing I'd like to highlight is we added a Matrix public space, a few different channels and rooms over there. So if you are using Matrix or curious about it, go into the social media, second one from the bottom, just next to the RSS feed, and that will give us the direct link. We are still not in the public directory that I know of, but with that being said, you can head on over to switchedtolinux.com, find the Matrix link down there in the footer, and the live is always going to show you what is the next live show. With that, let's go ahead and start on into the news. First up, Google, it's not enough that Apple wants to be stalkers. Now Google wants to implement the stalking. So Google plans an AirTag clone. It will track devices with 3 billion Android phones. Here's what we know about it. Google does not even pretend to be privacy focused, so this is going to be infinitely worse. Google does things infinitely cheaper than Apple, so they're going to be infinitely easier. And they'll probably be pretty easy to mod as well. So basically, you can pretty much be rest assured that you are now going to have some form of Bluetooth detector looking for this crap all over the place. So now somebody with a really good thing in mind, like with a good idea in mind, somebody needs to come up with a non-phone, just a handheld device that just emits a Bluetooth signal merely to search for this crap and blare audibly until you find the stupid thing. Because frankly, it's not enough that Apple AirTags have been linked to multiple cases of domestic abuse, stalking, and otherwise terroristic crap. So much so, I think they should be banned. Now Google wants to come down and be like, hey, y'all, hold my beer and watch this. So keep an eye out for this guy here. This is quite frightening, but basically it's just we're quietly building the world's biggest Bluetooth tracking network. Great! That's all I want to hear. How long before the government are just throw a couple Bluetooth trackers on the guy? It's going to be like Enemy of the State. You're going to figure out one day you got 18 different people watching you. Like, you're going to walk around and you got like 18 Google tags hanging all over you. You're like, oh God, what's going on? And then you're just like, screw it. I don't even care anymore. Who cares about privacy? All right. Speaking of privacy, from Privacy Matters, we have another one of the location tracking Google suits is settled. Still not Texas. We did cover the one which covered, 30 states, or 35 states. Texas was not in there. Texas, of course, was the biggest and the first one of these. This one covers Indiana and District of Columbia. Very similar to that one. They have to do a lot more steps to make sure location is turned off if people say it's turned off. Although with all that stuff is kind of turned off, you may not know if the guys are following you around. I mean, isn't that cool? You can download the Apple app here to see if somebody has an AirTag near you if you have an Android phone. No, I do not want to be forced to have your crap on my phone. Deal with it, Anyway, back to this story at hand. Allegations included deceiving customers, misrepresenting or omitting material facts about location services, what it was being used for. Basically, they are paying $29.5 million. I believe 20 of it went to Indiana, and 9.5 million of it went to the District of Columbia. And so yet another one of these lawsuits, but still we have not seen a settlement of the Texas case. Very interesting. And another Fox Rothschild, attorneys at law. These guys do a lot of fun blog stuff. This one is looking at two new bills, one in Virginia and one in West Virginia, which are planning to expand on COPPA in those states. Of course, COPPA, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, prevents companies from collecting and harvesting data on children under 13 years of age without explicit parental consent, or maybe implicit parental consent, because it's certainly not a violation of you to use your Alexa around your 8-year-old, and the Alexa can still collect all that stuff because you've agreed to the opt-in policy. Therefore, we're collecting the stuff on your kids. These laws, what these do, are going to expand out the current functions of COPPA in these 2 states. And what they're going to say here is they're defining a child as anyone under 18, not under 13. So any minors basically would be covered by the bill. There is a compliance exemption in the COPPA bill, which is deleted, so there's no way around it. Verified parental consent required for the collection, use, disclosure of information of children, and knowingly processing the information of children is prohibited for targeted advertisements, the sale of personal data, or profiling in furtherance of decisions that produce legal or similarly significant effects concerning a consumer. And this one is Virginia's. West Virginia has another one. This is the COPPA Plus bill. In that bill, children are also defined as under 18, not under 13, and it has some extra rules. So the key points in the bill: the trigger is the website or service is directed to children under 18, or that there is actual knowledge it is collecting personal information. So it's like, well, our website's only targeted towards, let's use this one, Tinder. Why? Because the former trust and safety person over at Twitter actually did a dissertation suggesting that, we know that minors are on this stuff, and it's great. We need to have a discussion. I know, I downloaded his dissertation and read it. It was kind of disturbing. But with that being said, it's not enough to say we don't really target the minors. They're just here. No, this says if you know there's minors on your platform, this is going to apply, which is good. Parental consent to the processing is required with some exceptions. So West Virginia does have a few exceptions: prohibition on conditioning a child's participation in a game, the offering of a prize, or other activity on the child disclosing more personal information than is reasonably necessary to participate. So you can't be like, hey, if you tell us your birthday, we'll give you another cool sword, whatever. Can't do that anymore. An AG will issue regulations. It will include incentive for compliance with self-regulatory guidelines, and it is enforced by the Attorney General of West Virginia. So those 2 states are leading the charge against this type of stuff. So okay, that's good. I can dig it. And here is this one could have easily been under privacy, or it could have been under security, but I had like 20 different security articles. And I tried to whittle it down to like 4 or 5 of what I consider the best. There's tons of fascinating security articles this week. I decided to throw this one over here since we're talking about Apple anyway. What's going on here is there is an interesting backdoor that allows a hacker who has brief access to your phone to set up a means by which to basically clone an image of your phone. So this has to do with Wi-Fi sync, which is a feature built into iPhone that a lot of people don't even know it's there. If you turn it on, it's set to set it and forget it. And so there's no notification it's going on. What it's intended to do is you're supposed to have your Mac at home with your network and your iPhones at home, and you set up this Wi-Fi sync. And as long as you're within close proximity to or actually wouldn't say close proximity, I'd say as long as you're on the same network, the computer and the phone are on the same network, then it's going to just automatically over that network create a backup copy of that phone onto that computer. So a hacker can set up their computer to collect your phone stuff, and if they have a brief moment with the phone, they don't even have to go in and install anything. They just have to get into your phone and turn it on. And then every time you are in close proximity to that computer, your phone is going to send a full backup to that computer, and it will not even give you a notification. It's supposed to just be quiet, automatic, and in the background. So people are starting to exploit this a little bit. It is the downside for the hacker is that, yes, it does require you to have access to the phone to set it up. But once it's set up, unless you're actively using this or looking in obscure phone settings, you don't even know it's doing that. So what is going to be on there? All SMS and text messages sent and received, including deleted messages. Isn't that exciting? Your photos, your website history, your call logs, messages, and usages of apps, including Tinder, WhatsApp, Viber, and Kik, and GPS location data. So here is information that is on this. And then basically here's just the phone settings, how to set that up. So the biggest concern with this is abuse of spouses, I think, because they would have the ready access to your device. Although if you leave your phone on a table in a coffee shop or something using the bathroom, I don't know why you leave your phone on the coffee shop using the bathroom, but somebody could get over there and get into it if it's not locked, whatever else. I mean, I understand that simple police force just like that is exactly how they took down, the Silk Road? When the Silk Road was taken down, all they did is they tracked down who the Dread Pirate Roberts was, and they figured out who he was. They figured out that he was working from a library, and they sent a male and a female undercover agents in there, staged a fight right behind him. He turned around to see what was going on, and a third agent came out of nowhere and swiped the computer up. That's how it happened. And so if you're not careful, there are theoretical ways for this to happen to you. So just be aware of that. And on to our last article, of course. How's this for Apple privacy? You guys saying, oh, no, Apple's really private. Well, we've covered in the past Apple's approach to that CSAM, and then it caused a whole lot of people go, you doing what? No. Now, that at least had the limitations, is that you had to have your phone turned on, you had to have iCloud account set up, and you have to have the phone connecting with iCloud and having a backup. If all those were happening, Apple was going to be scanning through your images, taking hashes of those images and comparing them against whatever database they want. Of course, it started with CSAM because you must just be evil if you do not immediately agree that anything in the means of capturing, of playing Chris Hansen, we'll say, anything in the means of playing Chris Hansen is justifiable cause. The ends justifies the means. And so if you turned all that stuff on, they were comparing this, and then they would just, send the police to your door if they thought that you had something bad, even though people demonstrated it was actually fairly easy to spoof the hashes and whatever else. Basically, you could have, an innocent sunset picture on your phone, and the hashtag would show up looking very similar to Chris Hansen's target market. And so with that being said, they eventually said, well, we're going to put it on hold. And then they put it on hold for about a year. And then they said, no, we're just not going to do that. And people are like, oh, great. This is so awesome. We file it just up there with John Deere's now allowing you to fix your tractor, i.e. baloney. So with that being said, now what this computer savvy dude has figured out is that every single time he opened up images on his Mac that were not affiliated, it's just any random image on the Mac that wasn't necessarily in the images or in the Photos application. It wasn't in the Photos folder. He does not use iCloud. He does not use Apple ID. Every single time he opened an image, it would send something to the Apple servers. So Apple is now spying on every image and possibly every other file that you have on your computer. So he's using a little snitch to monitor network traffic, and he noticed that every single time he opened up an image, that little snitch would be like, hey, something's connecting to api.smoot.apple.com. Smoot, misspelling of smut, maybe? I don't know. And he says, you know what? And he goes into the CSAM and explains what's going on down there and says, you know what? This looks exactly like what Apple has promised they do, only it's wider. It is bigger. It is not just on the iPhone. It does not require you to use iCloud. This is a, hey, Apple, I'm going to throw you out the window now justification. Because right now, every single time you open up any image on your computer, it's like, is this a bad image? We don't know exactly what the API is doing. We'll have to wait and see. But the fact is the Apple is actually sending stuff out. The article that we kind of scrolled through is basically the summary of the Apple's attempt to play Hanson's program. And now from here, here's the recap. 2021, Apple said they'd scan your local files using your own hardware in service of the police. People got upset because this is a clear privacy violation and is wholly unjustifiable on any basis whatsoever. Some people speculate such a move by Apple was to appease the U.S. federal police in advancement of their shipping better encryption features, which would otherwise hinder police. Apple said some additional things that did not include, we would not scan your local files, but did include confirmation that they intend to ship such a features they considered critically important. The media misreported the amended statement and people calmed down. In late 2022, Apple shipped end-to-end encrypted options for iCloud. Today, Apple scanned my local files, and those scanning programs attempted to talk to Apple APIs even though I don't use iCloud, Apple Photos, or an Apple ID. This would have happened without my knowledge and consent if I were not running a third-party network monitoring service. Who knows what types of media governments will legally require Apple to scan for in the future. Today, it is Chris Hansen material. Tomorrow is it's cartoons of the Prophet. Yeah, I love this. Bro, please don't decapitate me. One thing can be sure of this database of images is for your hardware will be used to scan regularly. I'm going to throw in here real quick. I am a white conservative male Christian, and that last one is things the world doesn't like. And the reality is, this is why I use offline Bibles. This is why I don't use Bible apps that are spyware. I do not want to be captured up for simply studying my Bible. Of course, I have my channel, Our Walk in Christ. If you are interested in such things, I don't mention it over here much. But how long before they're reporting that? Not to like send anybody to you. Just let's create a little database. Let's create a little list of people that the turnkey government can now say, hey, look, we got this list of all these people who worship this dead carpenter. Let's go get them. Train cars and encampments sound great. But, this is where it all starts. You say, well, that's pretty slippery slope. Not really. Not really. So I'm trying not to get all caught up in all of that kind of stuff. So with that, of course, if you want to help support the channel, we do use affiliates today. We are highlighting A2 Hosting. If you'd like to come on over for A2 Hosting for some small business hosting or hosting any other website, they got some really good plans, really good services over there. tlm.li/A2H. So that's what we have over there. So good hosting. I've used them in the past quite a bit and very happy with them. The only reason I moved over is it was actually cPanel that forced me to move over because they basically priced the size of servers I needed out of A2 Hosting's scopes. So with that, tlm.li/A2H. If you don't need like 50 websites like I do, check them out. All right, guys, let's head on over to our security news next. We're not done with LastPass yet, believe it or not. So with LastPass, now security experts are saying, yeah, LastPass users should probably move their crypto funds. Right now, it would appear as though criminals who have access to the stolen information are making it a priority to decrypt the data in an attempt to access crypto wallets and online accounts. The stolen data from LastPass is actively being decrypted and exploited. People with secret keys for crypto wallets and login data to online wallets are being plundered. If you've had your secret keys in LastPass, move your funds now. Changing your password does not help. Okay, we're not going to spend much more time on this. We've talked about the LastPass breach, although this is not going to be the last time we mention it in the news tonight, because some some mainstream media is still trying to push LastPass as a great alternative. Go figure. So, of course, we need to jump off LastPass. So what should we switch to? Maybe Norton LifeLock Password Manager. Oh, wait, hold on. That was breached too. Maybe, guys, you should start taking our advice and not using online password managers. This is why I won't even trust Bitwarden. I mean, I know it's a great open source application, lots of cool functions and features. No, bro. I don't care. I do not need my passwords on the internet. There is no earthly reason all my passwords need to be on the internet. Like, but I won't be able to get to it on my phone. Yeah, you can. Use KeePassXC, take that database file, and move it to your phone. If you need to change a password, shock of shocks, you can move a new copy. Holy hell. But all these people using these online password managers are getting stuff constantly breached, and password managers are the #1 priority for cyber criminals. So Genden, formerly Symantec Corporation, and Norton LifeLock warned that hackers have breached Norton Password Manager. That's exciting. Company detected unusually large volume of failed logins on December 12th. Isn't it so wonderful that it's almost the end of January and that we're just learning about this now? How wonderful. Literally a month. This article was published January 13th. This is a month and 2 days later. We quickly took steps to investigate, and on and around December 22nd, 10 days later, we determined that beginning around December 1st, an unauthorized third party had used a list of usernames and passwords obtained from another source, such as the dark web, to attempt to log in Norton customer accounts. And so basically this is a cred stuffing attack against Norton, but it turned out that it works, especially since Norton's password manager is very similar to Norton's LifeLock. And if you're using one and you've been cross-promoted to the other, guess what? You're probably using the same password. So the company pointed out the systems were not compromised. Isn't that a relief? The systems were not compromised. It's just that people have been over there and getting in other ways. Threat actors had access to the password manager accounts and may have viewed account information, including first name, last name, phone number, and mailing address. So isn't that great? They've had access to all your passwords and all the information they'd need to spoof everything else. Isn't that wonderful? Our records indicate that you utilize our Norton Password Manager feature, and we cannot rule out that the unauthorized party had also obtained details stored that are, especially if your password manager key is identical or similar to your Norton account password. Very interesting. They recommend customers enable 2FA for their accounts. It is also offering free credit monitoring services, which are entirely useless. Of course, I don't think it's the next one, or maybe, oh, yes, it is. We can bypass 2FA now. Isn't that great? You guys all need to put all your data online and make sure you secure it with that 2FA because it's totally possible now to bypass 2FA. This is using GitHub OAuth keys, bypassing 2FA. So Circle, I don't know nothing about this company. But Circle, I'll call it Circle CI. My apologies if that's not right. I have no idea who you are or what you do. But they had an engineer's laptop was infected with a yet-to-be-named Trojan. Never mind. Which was used to steal an engineer's session cookies. The company didn't provide information about how the malware got on the laptop. The machine was compromised December 16th. Malware was not detected by our antivirus software. Our investigation indicates that the malware was able to execute session cookie theft, enabling them to impersonate the target employee in a remote location and then escalate access to the subset of our production systems. So since the way they did this is by stealing the authorization 2FA token, the system said, oh, you've already authenticated yourself. You don't even need anything. You don't need a password. You don't need nothing because we're just completely trusting that 2FA session cookie. Yeah. So that's how these ones got in, bypassing it. So 2FA can be easily bypassed with a session cookie theft. Same way that the guys breached into Yahoo Mail a couple years ago, although that was just a cookie. That was a cookie session, not a 2FA session. And on to our final story from the bane of my computer existence itself. This is from HP Threat Research, which is a division of HP. So what was going on here is this is another one of these campaigns we reported on a few weeks ago using free and open source software in Windows. And by the way, I am talking about this very briefly also in tomorrow's video on the summarized approach of quickly switching to Linux, a summarized version of the longer one we did on the supporter stream this week. But this is ICE ID and info stealers spread through advertising campaigns utilizing typo squatting. And they are targeting specifically the free and open source software that unfortunately we're saying, hey, switch to these things before you switch to Linux. Anymore, I might just be like, you know what, just dump this trash and switch to Linux. So, of course, this is a Google ad too. Look at this. This is a Google ad. Somebody searches for Audacity, which this is spelled correctly. The very first thing in Google Ads, this is a Google ad, is Audacity. There's an E in here next to the Y. Oh, download Audacity, Audacity for your PC. When you go to the site, this is that site. You see it's spelled a little bit differently. Audacity with an E instead of the Y over here. And this is designed to look exactly like Audacity's website. You'll notice it has an SSL installed, so that's good. They're following all those basic trends. It looks exactly like the Audacity site. You click the download button, and you've just downloaded malware. So you download it, and probably the same way we talked about last time, you're downloading the software. It's a legitimate version of the software, but it has a DLL system inside the folder. You execute it. It executes the faulty DLL file instead of utilizing the one in the systems folder, and then it sideloads the malware from there. That's most likely how these ones are working. And so, yeah, see, Melissa's file is not on this website, but on the sync4.com file sharing service. So far, all the fake installers of this campaign have been hosted on this service, a detection opportunity to look for traffic to this website and consider blocking access to stop using it. So if you're managing networks, you're going to block forsync.com in your network distribution. All right. So here is one with Telegram, other software, Blender. So Blender, extra R in there, Google Ad. This is why we need to run ad blockers. This one's, here's Blender. Here is GIMP. I can't figure out the GIMP one because it's not even close to GIMP.org, but it's also too small for me to see what it is. Here is Audacity.com, Audacity.org, Audacity.org, Audacity. So you can see that there's a number of these different things in here, which are basically doing the same thing. So yeah, they're using these malware campaigns in order to get in there, utilizing Google Ads, because that very first thing on Google, on Start Page, Google Ad, boom, and you're pushing the malware. That's kind of crazy. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/TOMM. You can jump on over there, help support us over there, and that keeps the channel going, and it keeps our servers up running, and make sure that I have time to do all this kind of stuff so I don't have to, pay the other types of bills. With that, thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.